Hello, 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 and welcome to The Money Honey, the show that brings you women in property and finance. I am so passionate about this subject, and if you are too, please don't forget to follow and subscribe so that you can actually stay up to date with the latest guests and speakers on the show. I've got a phenomenal lineup for you. Some of the best women in the industry that I really admire and enjoy talking to. Some are friends, some are side colleagues, some have been ex-colleagues. So I'm really excited to bring you these women to the show because they're here, they're being brave. Every single one of them, no matter how senior they've been in their role, has always suffered or at some point suffered with nerves or lack of confidence with the camera, imposter syndrome that comes up a lot. So please just share nothing but positivity for these brave women who are showing up to inspire you. They're here, they're taking time out of their day to show you their journey, and because they want to give you that inspiration. And they're amazing. So today, the person I'm bringing on is someone I just met through LinkedIn. Tanya has been a fantastic brand to follow on social media. I met her through Apex. I did a webinar for Lewis Papa, the owner of Apex, and she was one of the participants there. And I could just tell she meant business. She showed up as her brand. She dressed like her brand. She spoke like her brand, and she really embodied her brand. So I'm about to bring her on the show for you. Here she is. Hi, Tanya.
Wow, what an introduction that was. Thank you.
I meant every word. I've loved following your journey. And I just, for anyone who doesn't know you and had the pleasure of meeting you, I'm going to let you do your own intro. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, super. So I'm Tanya Oakley. I'm a protection specialist and I work for Apex Mortgage and Protection. So ultimately, what that means is I protect my clients, making sure that they're financially resilient through the what ifs in life. The things that we don't like to talk about. I'm sort of trying to get my message out there to inform and educate everybody, just so they know what their options are.
That is an honorable job. Like, it's such a difficult job, but it's so empowering to have a female leader, a female entrepreneur, business owner who is helping other people, men and women. You help all people.
Oh,
So this show is bringing women to the show, but hey, most of my clients are men. We love the men. There's nothing against the men here. We're going to talk about what Tanya as a female in the industry is doing. But I really, just before getting onto that, I really want to talk about the importance of protection. In a few words, why are you so passionate? Why do you do this job?
Well, I've got over 20 years in experience in the financial services, and I started off in the bank. And when you work with the public in a bank, you see every sort of area with money. You see the ugly side when people don't have it. And then you see the other side when people have got too much money and don't know what to do with it. But when you actually see people go through financial stress, it's heartbreaking. You know, you want to give them the money yourself to alleviate that. Because in life, no one likes to think about the what ifs, but in life, if you're not able to work, or if you get critically ill, or you lose a loved one, people don't think about that, and people don't have a contingency for that sort of thing. But there are solutions out there, and that's why I'm so passionate, because I have met so many people that have been, impacted negatively from the lack of money. And when you're going through something like that, money worries on top of it, that's life changing. That's awful. No one likes to see anybody do that. So that's why I'm so passionate, because I've seen it. I've seen the ugly side, and I want to let people know that there is a solution to it. You don't have to struggle. Just with some careful planning, we can make sure we put a contingency in place. And I never want my clients to ever have to claim, because it means that something's gone wrong. But at least I'll have peace of mind that, oh, thank goodness for that. Thank goodness you had that, because you might be going through X, Y, or Z, but at least you haven't got that financial burden as well.
That's why I said it's such an honorable job. It's such a dutiful job. Like, you have a duty in our society to protect people, but you can only do so much, right? Because some people just don't take the advice on, do they?
No. And, there's a lot of people that will wait until they need that sort of cover before they come back to me. And that's really heartbreaking, because, when you need insurance, that's when you can't get it. It's a bit like writing your car off, then expecting to get some insurance to get a payout. It's just not going to happen. So,
Exactly. There's no car to rock.
no,
Yeah.
nobody wants to think about the bad things that could happen in life. In life, we're always making our little list of dreams and aspirations and goals, but we don't always plan for the what ifs. And that's what I'm so passionate about. That's why I love doing what I'm doing.
Yes, Tanya, I know, and I agree with you, because I'm in the industry, right? Because I speak to mortgage advisors and protection advisors all day, every day. So I know how important it is. And, you'll be proud to know I do have policies in place and protection in place to, for the what ifs. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do have what I think I need, at least, otherwise you could end up getting covered for everything, right? You could end up having every policy under the sun. But, I feel like my advisor has given me the right advice and has told me what to have and what would be best. And I've followed that advice. But let's talk about what this show really is about as well. It's called The Money Honey, right? So it's about women and money. Okay. How do you see women and money? What's your observation? There's no right or wrong, but what's your reflections or your observations of women and money?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. I don't know. I think there's probably a lack of women in money, to be honest. It is quite a male, dominated sector. But I think it's quite refreshing if you've got a female that you can talk to, especially as a female, especially when I do my job. There's a lot of nitty gritty. Not only do I need to know everything about you, but I also need to know about your medical history. And, some women prefer to talk to a woman about that sort of thing rather than to a man. So, yeah, there definitely isn't enough women. So if any more that want to join us, please do, because I think we could definitely do with an increase in the female population in finance. But I do find that the women that I do come across in money, they are serious about it, though. They're women that are just so inspiring. There's so many that I follow on LinkedIn, and I just think, wow, you're passionate. It's really good to see that drive. And I think because there aren't so many of us, that we need to sort of show that a little bit more determination to succeed as well.
Yeah, I love that answer, Tanya. That's spot on. That's exactly how I feel. I do relate to that. I do think that, women are very responsible and serious about money. Sometimes in the household, they're considered to be the ones that manage the budget and, the ins and outs of the money. But in the industry, that's exactly the spotlight I wanted you to give to the listeners, is that in the industry, it sounds like you still feel like there's an underrepresentation of women in financial services, but actually they're very valuable for those who struggle to perhaps talk about their medical history or their personal financial circumstances with another man, perhaps. So does that come up a lot with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's some things that women do prefer to talk to women, one-to-one. It doesn't feel quite so embarrassing or intimidating, it just feels quite natural that you might be just talking to a friend. And I think we're more empathetic and compassionate, that we can relate to women as well, whether it's because of our own personal experiences or friends or family. I think we have that sort of connection there.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that's so valuable. In fact, I've got a protection advisor who is female, but my mortgage broker is male. And they just happened to do two separate transactions for me. One did the mortgage, the other took care of all my protection. And it wasn't intentional. I didn't say specifically, oh, I'm not going to speak to a man about my my finances or my, even my pension advisor. He's male, and there are more male advisors in the industry, and so it's easier, I guess, if you like. It was easier for me to just stumble across a male advisor because there's just so many. But are there any other women in the industry that you are inspired by? Are there any? Actually, it doesn't have to be. I'm going to rephrase my question. Anyone that inspires you in the industry, doesn't have to be female, but is there anyone that you look to and think, wow, this industry is so good, it's so much better because of them? Is there anyone that you think of?
Okay, well, I'd say number one is probably Martin Lewis, because for as long as I can remember, that man has addressed everything financial, whether it's finding the right account to put your money in or the importance of life insurance. He's up there and he's so passionate. If you can keep up with him, because he talks like 100 miles per hour, but if you can keep up, then he is my man. And then I'd say secondly, someone that I've been following online as well, it's Carl Edwards. I mean, when I stumbled across her, I was like, wow, what an inspiration. That lady, Carla, if you're out there, you are amazing. You're passionate, you're informative, and you're doing it for the women. So yeah, I'd say Carla's my up there.
Definitely. I'm sure she'll appreciate hearing you say something like that. But I know from the very little I have spoken with her, but I do follow her journey as well, I think she just considers herself to be a very, very normal person, very down to earth. She's a mum, she's a family person. She's insanely good at her job. And you're right. She puts herself out there and she shows up for the women. She is brave. And that's exactly what you're doing as well, Tanya. You do show up. Talk to me about your social media journey. I've been seeing you get your headshots done, and you've been putting some stuff out there. So talk to me about how you use social media as a tool in your business.
Well, so I embarked on going self-employed back in May this year, and going self-employed is a lot harder than I expected. And someone told me, how are you going to get your name out there? Who is going to know about you? And I was like, oh, good question. Hadn't really thought about that. And then I started sort of jumping onto webinars and things and just trying to digest and learn as much as I could about social media and networking. I mean, I'd never heard of networking before. I never needed to. So I'd literally, and listening to you as well, you gave some real good sound bites. One of them was, your content online, and have a little bit of a mix, have a bit of you videoing. And I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to go out of my comfort zone now. But I listened to that and I just thought, you know what, unless I try it, I'm not going to know. So here I am 6 months later. It feels quite normal now if I do a little video post and, scheduling in like my post on social media. It just feels like it's part of the job. If I don't do it, who else is going to say Tanya Oakley is a protection specialist?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I say that all the time. I say, if you don't talk about your brand, then who will? No one's going to wake up in the morning and say, did you know that Tanya, no one's going to have that motivation. And if you don't have that motivation for yourself, then who will? And that's exactly, that's why I invited you on the show, because I don't know how many people were on that webinar that I did at Apex, but you were one of the only ones, obviously other than Lewis, who I see online all the time, but you're the only one that I then genuinely saw taking action, and you actually implemented some of the stuff that I've said, right? And it was a short webinar. It was, sound bites, like you said. It was just like little top tips. But you took it upon yourself to stretch yourself, put yourself out the comfort zone. And there you were. I started seeing you showing up and being brave. And you also took on feedback, I remember you posted some headshots, and
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, you look lovely, so lovely, so lovely. I was like, no, right, she does look lovely, but let's give her some actual practical thing. And you took it on and you changed it and you did what I admire people like that, because I think I will be anyone's biggest cheerleader and champion when they are, even if they're not a client, which you're not, you're technically not. I'm happy to say that, you were just a guest on a webinar, but you still took on my advice, and you still took on some top tips, and I will champion that. I'll support that, because it does take bravery, even when you're not brave, to just put yourself out there on social media, and to do videos, and it suits you. I know you do them on your walk. And so have you had much success? Would you say to other people listening that?
Yeah, I get so many conversations, it starts conversations, and, getting people congratulate me on the messages, and wow, that was really important. And so it's really good. I feel like people are listening, and I am educating people, which is ultimately what I want to do as well. Because, if you don't know what options are available to you, or, how are you going to be able to make an informed decision? So, yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been a good, productive 6 months, and it feels like the journey's still going up, slowly but surely.
Oh, yes. Yeah, your first 6 months on social media or in business feel very overwhelming. And everything, you have a first time for everything, your first video, your first post, your first networking event, your first client, and all that kind of stuff. But I'd love to get you on the show maybe in the future, when you're 1 year in, 2 years in, and just to see how you've evolved, because I'm sure, just like you admire people like Carla, there'll be people that will look up to you. And I wanted to get you on the show early, because I want to see that transformation, and people watching you now be like, wow, I can't believe she went on a podcast. That's so brave of her. And I know you and I were both nervous
I can't
about
believe
this.
I've done it.
You see, we're almost done, by the way. We've got like 3 minutes to go, and it flies, doesn't it? But have you enjoyed it? How has it felt being on a podcast for the first time?
Yeah, honestly, I was honoured when you invited me to be a guest, and yeah, it's gone so quickly as well.
Yeah, it has. But this is exactly what the message I want to share with everyone listening to the Money Honey, is that there are women in business, in financial services, in property, women and money. And no matter how senior or new or experienced they are, we all feel imposter syndrome. We all get nervous. We all have anxiety. But like Tanya said, if you don't get up in the morning and talk about yourself and put yourself out there, who will? So, Tanya, you've been a phenomenal guest right now on the show. And I know it took a lot of courage for you to be here. So if people were to look out for you and want to connect with you, maybe they want to take protection more seriously, or maybe they're trying to enter financial services and want to follow your career, where can we find you? Where are you visible?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. So
Oh, you've got into TikTok world.
I know, much to my boys' disapproval there. Apparently I'm too old for TikTok, but hey ho.
All my clients' children, so all the brokers I work with, they've got teenagers or older or younger children, and they actually form part of the project. I say, oh yeah, get your son to edit the TikTok videos and things like that. And yeah, some children approve, some are like, what are you doing, dad, mom, why are you doing this? But no, I'm really, really happy that you're embracing all digital channels. I will be including all of Tanya's profiles in the show notes, so you can follow her journey and connect with her. I'm sure Tanya is willing to help clients and colleagues, right? I'm sure you're willing to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tanya. And if you're listening, again, a reminder to like and subscribe the show, so that you can be kept up to date with more guests coming on the show. We've got a fabulous lineup. And if you have enjoyed this, please like the post. And if you actually know someone, because it's really hard to step up and volunteer yourself, but if you think this phenomenal woman needs to be on the show and you would like to see someone, you'd like to listen to someone, please refer them, tell them to get in touch, and we'll have them on the show. But I have one last question for Tanya. Who would you love to see on the show, Tanya? If you were listening to this rather than being on it, who would you love to hear from?
Gosh, oh dear, I really don't know. I don't know.
Even if it's a famous person, let's just put it out there to the universe. Like what it doesn't have to be in the industry. It could even be your mum or your
I think
gran.
we'll have to say Martin Lewis again, won't we, really?
Really? Okay, amazing. No, I'd love, wow, imagine Martin Lewis comes on the Money Show or the Money Honey. If you're listening to this show, Martin, we'd love to have you on here. I'll come find you. But thanks again, Tanya. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.